Hey there, this is Carl, from Infinite Abstractions, and this is going to be my first official video. I had an introductory video if you didn't watch it. Basically, I just said I'm going to be posting videos in the vein of philosophy, religion, science, tying everything together to the best of my own personal ability, which is still very limited, but I'm attempting to branch out and attempting to maybe contact some other people who are along this pathway a little further and can understand these things, and maybe present some new epiphanies to people who have ideas along a similar vein but yet haven't progressed over that particular threshold to where I and people with similar ideas are at. Basically, my goal, if it can be called as such, aside from my own personal development as an individual, is to help people out in whatever way I can, presenting modern philosophical, religious, spiritual, scientific principles all together in a cohesive picture, drawing different parallels from existing science and spiritual philosophies, and adding a little bit of philosophy interwoven in with that to present the mysteries of existence in a lucid way, or at least as lucid as I am capable of mustering. Basically, to open people's eyes along certain ways, to figure out the deeper mysteries of existence and how to progress into the future, not only individually but also as a species. To start off, I'd like to say that all matter that we see in the universe, what we call solid matter, is not really solid at all. And anybody who's paid attention to science over the last 100 years or so knows that Einstein equated mass and energy into one cohesive picture. Therefore, everything is energy. Now, despite that, however, there's still a great disparity in atomic science versus other dynamically inclined sciences such as electrophysics, etc. That still attempts to draw a line of demarcation between those two forms of energy that we see in the universe, which therefore has caused a great rift in the mental balances of people all over the world who are aware of those different principles but yet haven't been able to snip the Gordian knot between those two things and connect them into one picture. That is, that everything is energy. Being reducible to energy and firmly establishing that concept in our minds will enable us to solve the enigma of our present stalemate in acquiring a new depth of understanding about not only the universe around us but also ourselves as being a part of that universe, and being a part of that universe which is capable of understanding the universe in and of itself. And in my videos, I'm going to attempt to delve into those mysteries, and please feel free to comment anytime you want, or send me a video response, or send me a private message if you can, whatever ways you have of communicating with me. I'm open to it. I like to discuss these things with people so we can get a common plane of understanding. Now, that being said, I'm going to present a few scientific facts, and I'm going to possibly mingle in a little bit of philosophy and a little bit of religious or spiritualistic terminology, maybe using those word forms in a combination that is unconventional, but nevertheless will contribute to a greater understanding of reality. All matter and other atomic forms, that anything we call solid, being reducible to energy, therefore has a certain compatibility. Looking into another branch of science known as harmonics, which is increasingly being filtered out of educational systems in this country for whatever reason, and I'm going to bring that to your attention in regards to equivalence in energy transmissions including the energy that transmits itself through ourselves. All matter is a frequency of energy in one form or another, or a combination of different frequencies of energy. In harmonic science, when a certain energy is emitted from a source, such as an electrical impulse that travels through a wire, as we say. In later videos I can explain a little bit further along the lines of why that's kind of an erroneous conception regarding energy traveling through the wire. But for now, let's confine our introspection and our avenue of exploration into the matter at hand of any sort of electrical impulse or any sort of dynamic energy being emitted generates what is known as a harmonic. All the resonances of the combined atomic forms in any given substance resonate with a specific frequency or combination of frequencies. Now, when those frequencies are vibrating into this dimension, they generate harmonic multiples, and if they contact and form of energy that's in a similar frequency relationship, as it is called in harmonics, they'll mingle and generate harmonics, subharmonics, superharmonics, and secondary harmonic structures, which convey the original intelligence of the waveforms that mingled to produce that harmonic in the first place, and also carrying the information of that harmonic itself. So all things have those waveforms of energy in them, different gyrations, different shapes that contribute to their own individual idiom of intelligence that conveys to whatever else they might interact with in similar frequency relationships as being that certain idea or form of vibration of energy in a more abstract field of introspection that is associated with an atom has its own vibrating point. It's an atom, that idea in and of itself of an atom, as it exists not only in our minds but in the universal fabric, as it were, all have that similar harmonic. All atomic forms, they manifest themselves as atoms. They have a definite field of force that surrounds them, that they radiate out into this third dimension, as we call it. But also, all those atomic forms have a similar analogous structure, which is they have protons, neutrons, electrons, and other what we call particles that are composing them. So all of those forms are part of the sum and total of this universe, this existence that we call reality or the cosmos. Now, having equated all of those energies and combined them into a more cohesive picture, let's delve a little bit further into the mysteries of ourselves or other similar life forms. When we, as a conglomeration of those atomic forms, having those specific harmonic structures in our bodies, therefore radiate that same field of force as the atoms do, which would tie into the notion in different philosophical and religious and spiritual interpretations of the aura, the chakras, etc. All around us, we radiate a certain force field, just like anything else does. Dictates to other things what exactly we are, etc. All thoughts that we produce also have that same frequency, and therefore we radiate those out too, which goes away to explaining paranormal phenomenon, which we can explore at a later time in a more scientific way, proving the existence of those kinds of manifestations. But getting back on track, every person is an open book as far as a more abstract point of view is concerned, because all of the experiences that we have ever undergone are in an abstract formation, existing forever, perpetually. They have a vibrating point. The idea of their existence is broadcast out into the universe and finds different affiliations that it's compatible with based on a frequency relationship principle. You know, all thought waves have a subharmonic encoded within them that dictates they are that specific form of thought. Every different thought that every person has ever broadcasted, whether or not it's manifested as a physical action, is therefore somewhere out in the ethers for lack of a better term. And therefore, those harmonic structures are all interlinked and interplaying with one another, generating new harmonics which interact with other harmonics, and it's a cascading and, as we're going to find out, an infinite process. The only possible way that all of existence can be sustained is through an infinite interplay of those harmonic frequency relationships. Energy being broadcast and interacting with something else and generating new harmonic frequencies, which are multiples of the fundamental harmonics of whatever form that it initially was, and fairly soon the cascading process will continue and new forms will be created and interact with one another until eternity. There's no time and space in a more abstract formation. All different manifestations, as we see them in the third dimension, are merely a transference of positive to negative polarities of different vibrations of energy, and only separated by what we consider to be time and space because of the slower vibrating rate of the energy itself. The time quotient is an additive of experience, as it were. Our consciousness, our awareness of everything being another form of energy, therefore interprets a very small bit of the infinite interplay of all of this universal cosmos about us. And so therefore, when we look out into space and we see the different formations in the heavens, that's what we are capable of perceiving based on our own past experiences. And our own past experiences in that infinite interplay cascade back into the beginning of our life. The subconscious mind being a receptacle, but also a very widely misunderstood concept of that frequency relationship interplay, only goes back to the beginning of our life. Getting into the subject of reincarnation, which I will cover a little more comprehensively later on, but it being a part of this particular school of thought that I'm projecting myself into at the moment, that subconscious portion of our minds is oscillating into our present as the composite of our consciousness and our awareness. Looking out into the universe, we're capable of perceiving stars and galaxies because we knew them to exist in a moment of transcendency, as it were, and we're able to extrapolate in an abstract formation down into our immediate consciousness and awareness that that thing could and does exist. And if you look at the patterns in nature and out in the cosmos, it's a very highly ordered system of those same kind of frequency relationships. To picture it better, you can use the vortex as a jumping off place into the outer space regions of reality. Looking at the patterns of galaxies forming, then you see radial lines stemming out from the center of of most galaxies. Not all galaxies have the same shape, obviously. There are different shapes. There's irregular and elliptical and bar spiral galaxies, etc. They're just at different stages or phases of their evolution as a galaxy, a galactic centrifuge. The higher energy radiates into this dimension from somewhere else. The fact that anything exists that we can observe in the first place proves that it must come from somewhere else. Energy is not created or destroyed according to the laws of thermodynamics, so therefore everything has always existed. The universe is eternal.